Hello, Coding with Scratch. This is the hints video for Challenge 5, game publishing. In this video, we had a plan to talk all about how you make high score lists and how you can organize your list and decide who gets what place in the list. That's a great problem. It's relevant to game publishing and something that every computer programmer has to learn at some point. Unfortunately, as I mentioned in the last video, we are not allowed to use global variables at the moment, which takes a lot of the fun out of a high score list because it doesn't remember the scores. Hopefully the global variables will be available in the near future. If you're interested in learning how to do high score lists, there actually are a number on the Scratch site. Just do a quick search for high score list. As you can see, there are several up here. I really like this one, Scratch Duo. They did a great job and they explain how their score list works as well. So we won't cover it in this video, unfortunately, because we can't use it right now. Interestingly, actually, those projects seem to work, but they don't let you make any new global variables at the moment. So what we'll do today is we'll talk about splash screens. Now I know splash screens are super simple and that's fine, but there's a lot of things we can do with visual effects on our splash. For example, I've got my Scratch splash screen right here, and I made a couple of changes to it. Instead of just disappearing when the splash screen is up, I press a key and then I get this effect. Alternatively, I've got a couple of other visual effects set up here. One uses the Scratch logo, as you can see there. It kind of comes at you. Let me give you a couple more. Here's one that fades in and then fades out. And finally, my last example of a splash screen uses the pen tool. Alright, we want to look and see how you can do some of these visual effects. And there are many more that you can invent yourself. Let's take a look. As you can see, I've got my regular splash screen here. I've got some extra costumes there, but the key thing is the scripts. I set up scripts to run on the number keys so I could try all of them out. The first one, as you recall, was this one where it lined the screen up with the splash screen. Now what I used there is the stamp tool. What the stamp tool does is it just takes your sprite and makes a stamp on the screen in the ink layer. Now we haven't talked about the ink layer much yet. The pen blocks are all the green ones here, and they allow you to put ink onto the screen. They're not sprites, it's just some color on the screen. You can't click on it or do anything with it, but you can color the screen using the pen and the stamp tool. And what the stamp tool will do will take your sprite and stamp it wherever it is in ink, and then you can move your sprite and then stamp again, and that's what I did with this first effect, where you see lots of stamps all over. And the way that I do that is I have a nested repeat loop. So I repeat, and inside that I repeat again, and the inside repeat stamps all the way across the screen. So it changes its X position and makes a stamp and changes, and then at the end of that, when it gets to the end of the row, it goes back to the beginning, so it changes its X by -450, the other side of the screen, and then it goes up one row. So you can see it covers the entire screen. So that was a nested repeat loop in order to fill the screen up. And then I have to have the clear command. The clear block just simply gets rid of all the ink that's on the screen. Whether it's the pen or the stamps, anything there just gets cleared up. Okay, let's look at the second splash screen idea. That's this one with the Scratch logo that sort of comes out at you. That's also using the stamp tool, but in addition, we've got our nested repeat loop again, where we're going to move around in a circle, and then after we've done a circle, we're going to change our size and we'll make a bigger circle. And the way that I did that was I used a variable n, and I said move n steps. And so that allows me, and every time I move I also turn, so that makes me go in a circle, and as my number of steps gets bigger, I'm going to make a bigger and bigger circle. Right, so every time I finish my circle, I start to make a bigger circle. I also change the size of my sprite, so that's why it looks like it's coming at you. Let's do that with the, there we go. That's the effect there. Anyway, so that's kind of a fun one to play with. Again, using the stamp tool and motion in a different direction. By the way, you notice how the logo did not change direction. That's because I have the rotation set. You can set the rotation style right in the script there. So it says don't rotate. So that's why you can't tell that it's changing direction. Okay, our third visual effect is the fade in and fade out. This is the one where we have an icon. So what I did for that was I created a sprite. Let's take a look at the costume where I filled the entire back of the screen. So I got a Giga here, and I filled in the background. And then I used one of the visual effects. These are under the looks blocks. So here I choose the ghost effect. So I started with the ghost effect set to 100%, which means it's invisible. So we're totally ghost. And then I changed my ghost effect by -2 50 times. So I go from being invisible to totally visible. And then I do the opposite. So I have a second repeat loop where it says change ghost effect by 2. So now I'm increasing my ghost effect. So again, it's disappearing. And I do have to make sure I hide it at the end. There's also a command at the beginning that I say clear graphic effects. That makes sure that if I had any effects on from a previous script, I want to make sure those are all cleared out before I start. Okay. Also, I used this block here called go to front. That's down here. That all the sprites on the screen have an order, and so that's why some sprites appear in front of other sprites, and you can change that. With the go to front, that just brings it to the front of all the sprites. And then you can also, if you want, you can say go back one layer, so you can decide which sprites should be in front of which other sprites, and so that can sometimes be a useful thing as well. So I used that to make sure my ghost was going to be in front of all the other sprites. Okay, the last visual effect for the hints here is the one where we turn into a spaceship and then zoom around the screen, leaving behind a pen mark. So this is using the pen tool, and there's lots of things you can do with the pen tool. The pen tool simply adds some color to the screen on the pen layer in whatever color you want. So you can see here I've got my script where it says set the pen color to orange. I can set my pen size. So the pen size is 4, so that's 4 steps wide. That's how thick my pen is. And then I have to say pen down. So if you normally when a sprite moves around the screen, they don't leave any marks, but if you put the pen down, it will leave a mark wherever a sprite moves. So it's all about the motion of the sprite. Again, I've got some nested repeat loops. I'm just using the same sort of motion that I did with the Scratch logo. And so it turns and moves and makes increasingly bigger circles. And I also change my pen size and my pen color as it goes. And so that's why you have that rainbow effect, just like that. Okay, there's lots of other cool visual effects you can do. What I'm suggesting here is that you can make your splash screens a little more interesting with some dynamic action to them. So instead of just appearing on the screen, have something sort of visually interesting there. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to do for the hints on this one. There's obviously a million things you can do to make your games really playable. So you want to, of course, try it out. Have your friends try out your game. Get them to give you some comments back. What do they like? What do they not like? What would they like to see? And make your games really awesome. And so we'll see who comes up with the best stuff at the end of the week. And of course, since this is Challenge 5, once you've got this approved along with the other 4, that means you get your Scratch Ninja badge, and then we'll have completed the Summer Challenge from Pursuitery. Great working with everybody, and I love to see all the projects. And send your comments through, use the hashtag CodingWithScratch, or use the discussion boards on the site. Have a great summer.